So we're just going to jump right in. I'm Jason.
I'm Casey.
And we have been best friends since kindergarten.
That's right. We've been at this business now for 18 years. Best friends since kindergarten. We started out making movies and mascot costumes and
T-shirts out of our parents' garages.
We were also the Swinging Friar, the Padres mascot, for a couple of years.
This is the elementary school playground that Casey and I met at in La Mesa.
This is Larrabee's class.
And as Casey had mentioned, we started the business sort of out of our college dorm rooms and in the summers out of my bedroom. And we took my bed and we shoved it in my closet, so I slept in this crypt basically during the night. And it started reaching out to minor league baseball teams across the country. We spent writing letters for 150 clubs, and one team got back to us and said if they like it, we'll buy it. And that was the West Tennessee Diamond Jacks. And growing up here in Southern California, we were really influenced by going to Disneyland and this idea that storytelling could be used to create an experience. And so during this first project, we had this idea of what if there's this diamond miner and he was in the hills of Tennessee and mining for diamonds, and there could be foam pickaxes and kids could wear handlebar mustaches. And so we really love this idea about telling stories and immersing fans in this creative world of the hometown team.
Yeah, since then we've rebranded about 60 professional sports franchises, Major League, Minor League, NBA. We've been really lucky to work on some really amazing projects. We also get to work for Nike sometimes. We have done a bunch of stuff for a bunch of different departments at Nike. LeBron James, KD, streetwear stuff. Just Do It championship rings, and they're a really fun client to work for. World record breaker.
So, welcome to the Circus Business is the title of our talk, and the world that we operate in is very non-traditional. It's not your traditional sports business. It's the minor league baseball business. And the thing about minor league baseball is that the minor league teams don't control the product on the field. So all of the talent is paid for by the major league team. They control the players. So a game goes on whether fans show up or not. That part of the business is completely separate. So as a minor league baseball owner, you're in charge of merchandise, you're in charge of concessions, you're in charge of sponsorship. And in the early days of minor league baseball, it was just baseball fans. And then someone said, if we give away a rally towel, maybe somebody will come out just because they want a rally towel. And then they started giving away other stuff, like giving away cars, and people would come out. And they'd have these dizzy bat races and all this goofy stuff that would happen on the field. And that was really a paradigm shift, because now 80% of the minor league fans that come out to a game have no idea who's playing. They have no idea who the score is, or what the score is. They have no idea who won. And so we're really in charge of creating an experience for everything off the field.
We like to say it's a party in a baseball game broke out.
So it is a very different mindset of thinking in the business model. So this is Reading, Pennsylvania. They have a mascot band. They don't just have one mascot, they have 5 mascots. They play every game.
It's an amazing band.
Yeah.
It really is.
And this is one of their mascots, the crazy hot dog vendor. And it's a guy that rides an ostrich. And in the 4th inning, he throws hot dogs and hurls them into the crowd. And the crazy hot dog vendor is more famous than any player that has ever come through that team. And to give you an idea, kids at Halloween don't want to dress up like SpongeBob or like Batman. They want to be crazy hot dog vendors. So they are fans. They're more fans of the mascot at the ballpark than they are of the team. And this is a bunch of crazy hot dog vendor costumes, homemade. there's like inflatable costumes, there's the real crazy hot dog vendor, even the adults get in on it.
I love these homemade ones up here. They're amazing.
This kid is just totally having
Living
fun.
the dream.
Yeah. And to go a step further, the players actually wear the costume of the mascot. So it just goes to show the power of the entertainment part of this business and how it influences the game so much, as opposed to the game influencing the entertainment business. And so when we were developing some new logos for this team, we were thinking like, okay, like how do we take this idea of this ostrich, and their team name is called the Fightins. And so we're like, okay, the Fightins and the ostrich, and we came up with this cap design, which is a fighting ostrich, and that's what the team wears on the field.
I know they have live ostriches that run around the outfield berm. During, like, before game, they put them in these, like, horse carriages, and so sometimes you'll hear, like, an ostrich lay an egg, and, like, floods in this, like, metal. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is the circus business. So we have this philosophy that great brands are built on great stories, and our whole process is built storytelling and telling stories. So the first step is we pack our bags and head from here in San Diego on research visits. So we've been mile deep in a West Virginia coal mine, and we want to be honorary citizens. We want to, eat the local foods, talk with the locals, take tours. We just want to immerse ourselves in our visit. And of course, we meet with staff. So this is a staff conference table in Eugene, Oregon, where we're working on a project.
Yeah, so again, it's about immersion, it's about finding something authentic. So we were tasked with having to name the AAA for the Padres the El Paso team. We'll call it blank for now. And so we started out heading out to El Paso.
Yeah, and we did a focus group, and fans said like, oh, we don't get respect from the rest of Texas, we're like an underdog, we're like feisty, we're fiercely loyal, we like to party, we're an animal, we're kind of a party animals. So we packed our bags and did our research visit and spent time there. And when we come up with names for brands, new brands, there's a couple criteria, and I'll let Casey jump in on.
Yeah, so we don't like formulas, but we found that these 4 things are really good for naming minor league baseball teams. So something about our research visit is really important. So we find things that are deep cuts, something authentic to the region. It's all about kids. It's all about family. That's really, really important. Can't be ignored. These minor league teams, they're not major league teams. They don't have major league budgets. They don't have big TV deal. And so we use naming, as we'll get into. We should probably hurry up too. So we use the naming process and everything to really get a lot of attention. And then we wanted to inspire the fan experience. So when you go to the ballpark and you enter into El Paso's ballpark, it should speak to El Paso. It should speak to the brand we're creating.
So we were in a parking lot, and Casey asked me, he's like, "What desert are we in?" I think we're in the Chihuahuan Desert, and we're like, "Okay, feisty, fiercely loyal, underdog." So we had this idea of one of the names, and the brand eventually became the El Paso Chihuahuas. And so when you go to a Chihuahuas game, you walk in. It is Chihuahuas everywhere. The whole experience, it's kind of like going to Disneyland. The whole experience is centered around the Chihuahuas. They have the rooftop deck, which is at the top of the ballpark, and it overlooks the entire experience. It's awesome. And you can party with your friends up there. They have incredible food. So they're right on the border of Mexico, the ballpark. And so the great, the frutas and like all of like the pepper and the chili, and I ate one of these whole pineapples when I was there, and it was amazing.
And a few minutes later, Jason was like, "I don't feel good." And I was like, "Because you ate a whole pineapple."
More snacks. They rebranded. This is their signature food item. It's dog bowl nachos, and they serve it in a dog bowl, and you get steak nachos. And kids take this home, and they tell their parents, and and they demand that they want to eat their breakfast out of the dog bowl that they got the night before. So that's cool. We tried this dog bone yard of beer, but it had some visual issues. I'll leave it at that. And we decided to scratch that idea. Also, we developed Chihuahua's emoji. So in El Paso, there's a way of communicating, and everybody sends emoji to each other in their own unique way. And so there's very specific cultural emoji, including their mascot Chico. This is the airport team store. So the team is so popular, they've taken over an entire airport team store, and it's an incredible experience. And we take that same, process of storytelling and bring it to other cities. So in Richmond, they're known as the Flying Squirrels. Lehigh Valley created most of the steel that built America. And so pig iron is the raw material to create steel, and we flipped it and they became the iron pigs. Jumbo shrimp in Jacksonville. Akron is known as the rubber capital of the world, so this is the Akron Rubber Ducks. And Binghamton's the carousel capital of the world. So we're trying to figure out how do we make a carousel kind of cool and modern and edgy, and we had this idea of this sort of crazy horse breaking itself off the carousel. And then in New Orleans, there's a tradition during Mardi Gras of a cake, and inside the cake there's a little baby that's hidden inside the cake, and then whoever gets the slice that has the cake in it, that person has to throw the party next year. So in New Orleans, they're called the New Orleans baby cakes. And right now, we're actually naming a team, or helping to name a team in Amarillo, Texas. And these are the options: the Boot Scooters, the Bronc Busters, the Jerky, the Long Haulers, and the Sod Poodles, which is it's a name for a prairie dog. So you guys can participate too if you want to jump in. You go to AmarilloProBaseball.com and cast your vote. So making teams famous. Yeah.
So we have a few ways that we found that work really well to bring a lot of national and international attention to our clubs. So one way is to innovate. So we love doing firsts. So this is the best picture you can ever find of the rally tuna in Altoona, Pennsylvania. So he comes out of his little hidey hole there when they have a player on third base, I think. And when the Altoona Curve is the name of the club. And so he's like this mythical, Sasquatch-esque creature. And so we came up with this idea. So the Altoona, this is their normal home hat for the Altoona Curve. But just like when you're in Little League, we have it so where you can turn it inside out and become Al the Tuna. So this is the first official rally cap, official on-field rally cap. And of course, bringing Altoona out. Making a splash. So this is a project that we did for the LA Clippers. They tasked us with creating a new mascot for them. And so we came up with Chuck the Condor, the California Condor. And he's, we want to tie it, again, with our research, we want to tie it to the location. So he's a stunt man, like a Hollywood stuntman come to be the mascot for the LA Clippers. And, we found it really difficult to introduce big league mascots especially. There's just a lot of animosity at the big league level for some reason for mascots. So we were like, okay, well, let's instantly ingratiate Chuck with the fans. So we made a deal with Converse there, and then everyone that was at that night's game got Chuck's shoes, and Chuck has been has been a big hit. And we do everything, we create a whole backstory for them to help them introduce it, everything to sort of get the city excited for Chuck. Again, these little California references. Yeah, we do things like, tell his story of his origin and comic books and all that. And then celebrate hometown culture. So we have become pretty well known for these food identities now. So this is in Lehigh, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Philly. It's also the Philadelphia Phillies affiliate. So you can get they were the steaks for one night, and of course you can get it with onions or without onions.
That's awesome.
And this is the cannolis in Staten Island, doing the Babe Ruth pointing for the fences pose. This is the Rochester garbage plates. So there's this dish in Rochester called the garbage plates, and it is macaroni salad, hash browns, hamburgers, chili, onions,
Buster.
you know.
You only eat it at 2 a.m.
Yeah, affectionately called, garbage. Anyway, so the garbage plates. This one was just unveiled. This is the Wisconsin Brats.
Brats.
The Brats, sorry. And then this one was just unveiled yesterday, Monday. So this is the Staten Island Pizza Rats. I don't know if you guys saw that Pizza Rat meme. I was pretty excited. But yeah, and you get the box delivered, or the hat delivered in a pizza box.
Okay, so another one is making sure that you're authentic. This is one of our favorite stories. There's the Spokane Indians, and they're up in Spokane, Washington. They're named after the Spokane tribe of Indians, well before any sports team affiliation. And up until that point, there were sort of a couple of ways to treat the whole Native American issue. One is don't change the name. So hey, we're the Redskins, and we don't care what people think, and we're the Indians, we don't care what people think. Or the other option was to change to something benign, like, oh, we're the Red Hawks now, or we're gonna, completely change the name to, the Black Bears, whatever. And so we were there working with the Spokane Indians, the baseball club, and they said, hey, whatever you do, we can't touch the Native American issues. Okay, that's great. And we said, well, tell us the backstory. They said, oh, we're named after the tribe of Indians, or do you guys have a relationship with them? Oh yeah, they're great friends of ours. And so we're like, well, could we collaborate with the actual tribe on creating a brand centered around their heritage? And so we went up to the reservation. We met with the tribal elders, and they sat, and it was a collaboration with them and us, and they gifted us the eagle feather to be able to use as part of their brand. And they also created this lettering in Salish, which is the tribal language, that says Spokane Indians Baseball Club. And what's incredible is there's only about 5 individuals in the world that speak Salish. And the percentage of actual tribal members in Spokane is really, really tiny. I mean, it's probably less than 5%. But they've completely embraced it in the Ballpark experience. So here in San Diego, we have restrooms in English and Spanish. In Spokane, at the Ballpark, they have English and Salish for all the restrooms and all the the signage. And if you think about the act, 5 people can speak that. But it's a great outreach program. It's a great way, third option, if you will, of the whole concept. And so this is, all the jerseys are written in Salish. It's the only, non-English or Spanish name on a baseball jersey in America. They have great, celebration nights where they celebrate the whole culture, and it's been a great experience. And the jersey is in the Baseball Hall of Fame as a result. And so we'll jump into Q&A.
Okay. So before I start, are there any questions from anybody in the room for Jason or Casey?
Yes.
So, could you pronounce that name?
It's the Salish.
That says Spokane.
It says Spokane on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Hey, when you guys ask a question, can you repeat it? So
Absolutely, yeah. So the
on
question,
television.
yeah, the question was, what was the word across the jersey? And it's the word Spokane in the Salish language.
Great.
So while we're out in San Francisco, any questions from the room in San Francisco?
Yeah, having dealt with, or having been on the customer side of going through some redesigns in the past, I know how difficult and painful that process can be and how many times it takes to get it right. How do you guys succeed, or how do you guys, because obviously you have a great body of work, but how do you guys manage those tricky engagements where people are like, yeah, that's not quite it. Yeah, that's not quite it. Yeah, that's not quite it. Those types of scenarios.
It's a good question. So we've been at it for 18 years, and we're really proud of the fact that we've never issued a change order. We try to price. We're a little more expensive than all of our clients, so we try to price our services at a level in which the client can basically put us through the ringer, and it's okay. That's really the short answer. And we sort of look at it as like it all averages out. So sometimes projects gel really quickly and come together really fast, and then some drag on for years. But we think it all kind of averages out. So I would also say that one sort of trick that we use is just to trust our process. Our process is really strong. We're really proud of our process, and it being proven, over the years has been beneficial to helping to guide the projects to closure.
So,
Cool,
yeah.
thanks.
I really enjoyed the walkthrough of the El Paso Chihuahuas, and I definitely understand why those Yar beer things didn't make it. It's a good idea, though. So I'm sure you guys have done a lot of other stuff that was really clever, but just didn't see the light of day. What were some of your favorite things that just never saw the light of day?
So we thought you might ask this question.
Came prepared.
We came prepared. Ideas that never saw the light of day.
What a coincidence.
So this is the blind cave shrimp, which is, so to give you an idea, in Bowling Green, Kentucky, there's the largest underground cave system in North America. And there's one spot where you could fit like a whole NFL stadium and wouldn't touch the walls. It's ginormous. So they have this blind, translucent shrimp that lives in the caves. And in the team contest, one of the contenders was the blind cave shrimp. Ultimately, the fans voted for the Hot Rods, which is the team name that they became. But in the back of everybody's mind, I was like, man, what if we were the cave shrimp? What if we were the cave shrimp? And so, together with the team, we invented the first what could have been night, which is a game in which you play in like the runner-up identity of a name team contest. So this was the blind cave shrimp, and it became so popular they stock it on shelves still to this day. They sell a ton of blind cave shrimp, logo merchandise. So this is one of those times.
So you're saying the merchandise saw the light, but the shrimp didn't?
The question is, so the merchandise saw the light, but the shrimp didn't. I'm not even going to dignify that one. That is moving along. So I follow you guys on social media, which I highly recommend you guys do as well. It's very entertaining, and you see these things before they are released many times. And one of the things I saw is that you're shooting a TV pilot. Anything you can share about that?
Yeah. So, now you want to ask us about our process first? So we were approached by a company that produces the show The Voice to do a pilot for the TV show. And so they made this, what did they call it, a pilot presentation or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. So they made this cool pilot presentation. This is one of our favorite parts of the process, which is we've spent 2 full days with the club researching and becoming honorary citizens, as we say, and then we get to sit in the stands during a game and drink a few beers and brainstorm team name ideas. So this is a shot from one of those moments. That was last year, right?
Yeah.
And then this year, E60 is doing a piece on us, and it is unclear when that will come out, but soon. They have been very up in our business for about a year now, so we're pretty excited to see it. They've spent a lot of time on it. It's such a well-produced show. I don't know if you've seen that show, but it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Thank you. So you probably get to see a lot of interesting places in your travels, a lot of cool small towns, a lot of interesting ballparks. What's one that was a pleasant surprise to you, or one that's a must-see minor league park?
Funny you should ask that.
It's almost as if we had noted in advance what the questions would be.
They're good questions.
We're very fast at putting up slides. So there's a couple we thought came straight to mind. One is El Paso. It's a brand new, it's a modern park. It's an hour flight from here in San Diego. It's incredible. It's over the top. They spent a ton of time, energy, money, love, care into that park, and they just live, eat, breathe Chihuahuas baseball there. And then the other one is, as we mentioned, is Reading. Reading is your kind of Fenway or Wrigley. It's a classic minor league park. It's over 50 years old, and it's folksy. It just feels like you're at like a local fair, or it's just, everything's done with so much heart there too, and those are the two experiences I think I would.
Yeah, so Reading has become our favorite place to visit, which is, says nobody but us. but they have like did you just say all their signs are hand painted? There's like portraits of everyone. It feels like a time machine. And it's still small. They don't have a new ballpark. They just kept adding onto it. One of my favorite things about it is under like the bleachers, the aluminum bleachers, noisy, creaky aluminum high school style bleachers that they still have that run along the first base line. They've added all these little like carnival, activities, putt golf kind of things. So they just have cram-packed it, and they've built it out of stuff from Home Depot. Nothing is done with any sort of,
Architecture.
Yeah, it's just amazing, and it sort of becomes this cacophony of nostalgia, and it's pretty fantastic. I can't say enough about Reading.
So you guys, I know from reading your bio, you've been friends since kindergarten, is that correct? And you went to Helix High School together, and I think that was actually one of your first design attempts. It was accepted. They redid the logo for Helix High School. So having been married for a long time myself, I know sometimes you need a little bit of space. Being lifelong friends, how is it that you guys keep it light when you're in business together?
I think a lot of it's run the fun business. It really is. Like, you come to work every day, and it is fun. Early on, we were kind of doing the exact same things. We would do like, I'll sketch and you sketch, and at some point, I remember Casey said like, "Oh man, I don't want to make any sales calls." And I was like, "Oh, these sketches, man, are too much." I was like, "I'll trade you." And so I think, part of it is like knowing your strengths, knowing what you're good at, and I try as much out of the sketching process and let Casey let his imagination run wild. And
yeah, I think a couple things. One is that we found our own niches in the business. I would say we reconvene. We both have a hand in the direction of the company, but we only have to meet about that once a month or something like that. We both really share the same vision, I think, of where we're headed. Another one is I think we do spend a lot of time together. We sit, if we both reach our hands out, we could touch each other's hands. So, we value our own lives, I think, is a big part of it, just to be honest. But I would say the biggest thing is that I just still am entertained by my relationship with Jason. I think we still have fun whenever I get a chance to brainstorm with him. I just enjoy it. And there is a lot of enmeshment. We probably have more bank accounts between the two of us than we have with our significant others. So you do have to have some boundaries, I think, but ultimately it's like, as long as you're enjoying each other and the work, it works.
Yeah. I have a few more questions, but let me take a break to see if there's one from the room.
I have a two-part question out of San Francisco. First part would be, I'm super interested in New Orleans, always have been, would love to hear the story behind rebranding baby cakes. And then the second part would be, are there any discounts on gear that you can offer?
Second question first, no. Well, the first one, New Orleans is a fascinating project, mostly because New Orleans is a fascinating place. I think it's the most interesting city in America. Just as far, what other city in America can boast that it speaks as, second language other than Spanish, right? But but yeah, it's just very unusual. Architecture's unusual, the makeup's unusual. So we wanted something that was really unusual. It's also a major league town, so they have the Pelicans and the Saints. You know, it could support probably a major league club, but they have a minor league club. And so you have to get their attention. In a big market like that, like San Diego or LA or whatever, you have to make a lot of noise. And so we wanted something that couldn't be ignored. That was a stark contrast to the Saints and the Pelicans, these more sort of down the middle names. But this is really behind the curtain stuff. So we wanted a different name. We thought Baby Cakes was one of the names we came up with, but we thought that is terrifying. We can't call them that. But we pitched them a bunch of names, and ultimately the GM, the guy that runs the club there, was just sort of got up on his soapbox and had one of those like Robin Williams jumping on the desktop moments where he was like, "I'm sick of being ignored," and Cookie is amazing. He's down in New Orleans. "I'm sick of being ignored, and we won't take it anymore. And we gotta go all the way, and we gotta be Baby Cakes." And it was like everyone was sort of taken aback, and that's what we did. So it was pretty awesome. We're grateful that we have a lot of really brave clients, because ultimately we actually measure the success of a project like a Baby Cakes or Chihuahuas by how much hate email we get. If we get more hate mail, we're like, wow, they're gonna sell a lot of merchandise. That's really good. But but they have to put up with a lot more than we do.
And people always ask us, like, isn't the worst thing people hate what you guys do? And we say, no, the worst thing is they're apathetic about it. These teams, like Casey alluded to, like, they don't have millions of dollars in ad revenue, so we have to find ways to make the headlines without a lot of ad spend. And we always want to make sure that it's authentic. Is it authentic? Like, can it be tied back? Does the king cake that the baby's coming out of, is it authentic in all its glory? Is the lettering authentic to New Orleans? So we're always thinking about that.
What were some of the other names that you were going between for that particular city?
There was the Red Eyes, the Tailgaters.
But you should give some context.
Yeah, Red Eyes was the sort of late nights in New Orleans combined with what was it? Crawfish.
Right.
Crawfish. And we had some cool ideas. We thought, like, what if the uniforms were made of like newspaper, like print, so the crawfish are wrapped in newspaper. It would be cool to have a logo.
People dump like the crawfish.
Yeah, they dumped the crawfish boil. We had the tailgaters, alligator tailgating. We had the Night Owls was another favorite. The Po' Boys sandwich was another name that was in that contest, and the Baby Cakes.
That's great. Thanks, guys.
I know you're going to talk a lot about your process, but do you guys do any testing about once you get like the brand name, more logo kind of concepting? Do you guys go outside of your two and the individual team kind of management to see what consumers react to?
So the question was, after you come up with a concept, how do you vet it with the customer or the team?
So we are really against focus groups. Yeah, it's not just our decision. Like we have, I think we have this reputation of being these crazy guys that name these teams crazy names, and we are that, and we do that. But we don't saddle anybody with a name that they don't want. Like it's not our decision; it's their decision. I mean, we have like a bunch of projects going this year, and at least 25% of them are going with a very kind of straight down the middle, more big league-esque name, and we're totally fine with that. If that's the style product that they want to put out there, we get it. But then, we're naming teams for most operators, guys that run the clubs, that are giving away free vasectomies and doing on-the-field colonoscopies for colon cancer night, and like it's pretty crazy business. It's a circus business, so the name should reflect that, right? You shouldn't be the brown bears if you're, doing craziness like that.
Speaking of craziness, you guys have come up with some pretty incredible concepts. Has there ever been one that's been brought to you, a suggested project that you just said, we can't do that?
Not that we couldn't do that. I mean, I'm regularly scared of a project regularly. In fact, there's a right amount of scared, and I'm even questioning if there's like even any amount of scared for a project. Yeah, like we don't know where the ceiling is for craziness, to be honest. And the league and all the operators seem to be really willing to go with us. And so we're excited and really scared about how nuts we can get. This year there's some really crazy ones that we're excited about. But as far as like we've never turned down a project because of like political reasons or anything like that. We're again, it's the fun business. Everyone is out to have fun. If there's a project that we don't want, like I would say the only thing I would say about that is we maybe bid it way too high, so that if we do get it, it's not as painful. That's rare though.
So you've alluded to your process a few times, and I have a feeling there may be a slide in there that describes your process. If not,
Yes.
I'll ask. Yes.
There is, yes.
So yeah, if you don't mind, like, how do you talked a little bit about becoming local citizens for a couple days, really understanding the local history. I've seen some of the sketches on your behind-the-scenes process or your website, but yeah, if one of you could take us through.
Yeah, so this project was just unveiled on Monday, and it is for the Staten Island Pizza Rats, which is, so there was a name a team contest a couple years ago for the team in Staten Island, and they had fans vote, and they remained the Staten Island Yankees, the major league namesake, the past year, but they thought, you know what, Pizza Rats got the most votes. At least for 5 games this year, let's take the field and we'll go as the Pizza Rats. So these are, once we do our visit, we come back and we hit the drawing board. And so Casey gets sort of in it and just sketches and just comes up with, different ways that we could represent, pizza and rats and New York City. And there's some subway token stuff, and there is some early ideas that combined the Yankees NY with a pizza slice. And at this point, it's really important for us, I think, and someone asked like how we get client buy-in, is we just all agree on the criteria, the mindset. Like, we don't have an agenda about how we get there. We just say like, all right, we can't be ignored, we need to be authentic, we need to tell a story, and let's figure out how we're gonna go about doing that. And as long as everybody at the top level has bought into the process, we don't even know where it's going to go. We're just like, let's throw the ideas on the wall and just sort of shepherd this thing along and see where it ends. So after we do sketches and we have direction, we get into digital. Sometimes there's some happy accidents, like the club said, that slice looks actually like the shape of Staten Island. And so we're like, oh, that's a good idea. So we sort of massage that into the pizza slice into the shape of Staten Island, which is an Easter egg that nobody's picked up on yet this week. So that is
just talking about authenticity again. So again, like that shape of Staten Island for the Staten Island mark. This is a reference to an old New York City subway token, the NYC with the Y there. And then of course, like any respectable New Yorker, you fold your slice to eat it. So our rat chef there is folding the slice. Yeah. So then after digital.
After digital, we go into swatches. So we put together the spec sheets for New Era, who's the official cap of minor league and Major League Baseball. And there's certain limitations to the type of colors you have, what you can do with an embroidery. One thing that we really pioneered was treating embroidery like sculpture. So instead of just embroidering something, we'll break out, this is a great example you can see, we'll break out the sections of how we want to lay down a single color. So in this sort of gray color here, we'll say, oh, we want to center this here, we want this laid down this way. And when you have 3D logos where basically they put foam underneath and they can raise up logos like you've seen, it is interesting because you have different levels of foam, so there's different levels of how high it is, and then how you lay down the thread, the type of thread that you lay down, the colors. So we treat it like sculpture, and then once we approve the swatches, we get into uniforms, and uniforms have its own, particularities about them, and we try to push the envelope a little bit there. But yeah,
Pretty cool. Looking at some of your sketches, Casey, too, it seems like a lot of what you do is sort of like almost old world, like letterpress day sort of stuff. How does technology factor into what you do, and has it changed your approach to creating, or promoting your work?
Yeah, so technology is a really big part. We're quick to adopt new technologies. We're still a really small firm, so we try to use all the project management stuff that we can. We have a group of people that work for us, but they're all over the world. Because of what we do is so specific, it's hard to find people that even talented graphic designers can't emulate our exact sort of thing that we're going for. So I mean, social media. We're kind of new to this. I would say Jason doubled down on social media maybe a year ago, something like that. But he's having fun with it, and it's been really cool to be able to control a bit of our message about us. So that's been really fun. And then we actually have a technology company. So a few years ago, some clubs got together and asked us if they would build an app for minor league baseball. They said, you know our business. And so we formed this company called Brandiose Ops, and we built an app for minor league baseball. We had that contract with BAM, so we work for Baseball Advanced Media, is the technology arm of Major League Baseball. They're really great to work with. So we built an app for them 3 years ago. Now we're building some new software, actually. We're really, really excited about. And I can't get into what it's going to do, but it's going to help the clubs run their show, basically. And we have this thing called the Idea Bar, which is like a place for people to come and share ideas about the industry. It's really cool. And then, so this is actually funny. So we tried to take that same philosophy of naming something crazy to technology, and so this is a new product called the Fairy Fanfather, and basically it's a delivery app for delivering candy and beer to the ballpark. But we were like, we shouldn't name it like Delivery Boy or something kind of like you'd think out of the gate. Let's name it something crazy like we do for our baseball teams. And so, we had this idea of like this Fairy Fanfather. He grants your wishes, right? He runs around the ballpark, making all your cotton candy and beer dreams come true, raining beer and cotton candy on you. So that was how we took it to the market. And so it's just an app, but it's we're seeing how that naming process, creative process works in technology. We'll keep you posted.
Awesome. And it's actually, I've had it recently, cotton candy and beer is a great flavor combination. I think we have time for one more question.
Is there a story behind the name Brandiose?
The question is there a story behind the name Brandiose?
So when we first started off out of our college dorm rooms, we had this idea that if people came to us to work, with us, that they didn't like what they were doing, and that they wanted sort of a second option. So we started off as Plan B branding. A lot of other Plan Bs came along, and when you call somebody saying, "Hey, it's Jason from Plan B," people get a little nervous. So at some point, we decided maybe it was time to switch it up and evolve, and we sort of outgrew this idea of being sort of a second option creative group, and we wanted something that represented us being larger than life, and with some whimsy and some magic to it, and going back to sort of our roots of storytelling and being kind of like over the top. So we made up a word.
Okay, well, I think we're right at time. I'd like to thank everybody here, everybody who dialed in from various cities around the country. Thanks very much, and for your questions as well. I would encourage everybody to follow Brandiose on Twitter. They do some good stuff on LinkedIn as well, and just to check out their work. So thanks again. I really appreciate you, Casey and Jason, stopping by today, and hope you enjoyed the talk.